on, it's I shall I get on, it's I'm a kick it on.
Yep, you guessed it. Those are all Clint's girlfriends, and he loves to take them shopping. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now as Donald Trump, even though he was previously cleared by the Supreme Court, was just charged once again in a superseding indictment. RFK is still on the ballot in some key swing states as the presidential debates between Kamala and Donald Trump are on for September 10th. Tulsi Gabbard also has some very interesting comments about the deep state as Emmanuel Macron maybe even set up the CEO of Telegram. What's really going on here? Well, we're going to be discussing that plus a lot more all here for the next 2 hours. So please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. It is more important than ever, and it really does mean a lot to us in order to fight the larger censorship that happens to us, of course, on this particular platform. You could also join the conversation by simply signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. By doing so, you get the ability to call into the show and ask us whatever you want in about an hour and a half from now. That could be you. First-time callers get the priority. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com right now. The link is in the description below, as well as the link to mysuperchat.com, a service that, of course, prioritizes your super chats and allows them to show up on screen. We're going to be doing our best to read any and all of them, as today, joining us for this particular conversation is Hannah Cox. Hannah, for the people who don't know you, who are you, and how would you introduce yourself?
Good to be here, Luke. I'm Hannah Cox. I guess I'm best known as the president and co-founder of Base Politics, which is a content company working to influence the culture and downstream public policy. But I've been working in politics for about 10 years as a writer, commentator, and lobbyist. So cut my teeth in the field before all of that.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you. It's going to be a definitely interesting conversation since there's so many crazy things happening politically right now that are just mind-blowing. Martha Bueno snuck in here again, too.
I love coming over here, Luke. Thanks so much for having me, Martha Bueno.
The door wasn't even open. She just went underneath the door somehow. The door, I don't know. She's a tiny lady.
I am small. What can I say? Bueno for Miami on X.
One person that is not small are all of the girlfriends of Clint.
That's right. Bigger the better. Liberty Lockdown, new episode at 10 o'clock Eastern tonight on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you can watch it. Steph.
More pushing for the cushion, you know. Can't hate. Can't discriminate.
Go ahead, Steph.
All right, well, I'm pushing the buttons. This is Steph. We are Change here, and I'm ready to go.
There's a lot of pushing there, as of course we have a lot of crazy stuff to get into, as it just seems every day during this political cycle, something crazy, something absolutely insane happens. And today it happened once again as Jack Smith, or as other people are calling him, that weird guy on the internet that did things with his girlfriend that he looks a lot like, just filed superseding indictments against Donald Trump in the January 6th case. Yes, the Supreme Court previously ruled that Donald Trump should be cleared of these charges because of presidential immunity, and now the feds and the Justice Department are saying, you know what, we're just going to charge him again, but we're just going to narrow the allegations, as there was a secret grand jury that charged them once again, showing how there is direct, in my opinion, collusion by the federal authorities here trying to, of course, go after Donald Trump for the larger allegations of him contesting what happened on that very specific day of January 6th. Now, I don't know how you guys are reacting to this, but it's pretty clear for me that this is just direct interference in his campaign. It's trying to, of course, change this larger kind of media cycle that's been very favorable to Donald Trump as of late. If you look at the DNC, they never got their boost after the convention. We saw Tulsi Gabbard. We saw RFK Jr. We're seeing even Mark Zuckerberg try to kind of slither his way in a very lizard-like way in order to be in the good graces of potentially the next president of the United States. And I think all of that played a factor here with the DOJ, with Jack Smith, or AKA Adam 22, coming in and literally saying, we're just going to charge him one more time. Why not? Let's just see what we could do here. I think it's them going for broke. What do you guys think?
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I think this is a particular case where you know that the federal government is freaking out. They are about to potentially lose control if their puppet leaves control, leaves the presidency. And now they're like trying to, stop this. And I think Donald Trump is on a roll. So I love to see it. I hate that it's happening, but I think it just shows that, they're scared by Donald Trump and his momentum.
Yeah, no, this is kind of eye-opening stuff. So it's, again, the Supreme Court literally ruled he has presidential immunity here. And the federal government's like, no, he doesn't. We're going to charge him once again. Now, obviously, the result of what's going to be happening on November 5th will play a major role in this. But I just kind of don't get it.
It's going to keep backfiring on him.
The more they attack him, the more popular he becomes.
Right. It's just going to keep backfiring on him. And I'm here for it. I think this is fantastic. Let's go.
Well, they're just going to keep throwing spaghetti at the wall. I think they're just all hands on deck, anything they can do to try to stop it. I think you're absolutely right that they feel they have to make a concerted effort to keep somebody in there that they can control. They have a few months to do that. So I don't know that there's any actual strategy behind this or that they actually even anticipate these charges will stick. I think their main goal is to just keep it in the media that he's a felon. He has charges that are still facing him, that he has all this, corruption behind him. And I don't know. Unfortunately, I think a lot of Americans are swayed by that. They don't really dig into the facts. They don't understand these cases, even as politicos. I mean, it gets very wonky very quickly. And so for people to understand, did he do something wrong or how much of this is just the government going after him and trying to interfere with the campaign, I think there is a real threat to it.
Yeah,
I really do.
Because he is indicted again. He is going to, of course, face a situation where he will again have to stop his campaign, show up, and be processed in the kind of court of law that they're going to, of course, be trying to put him through. So again, what does this do? Just a couple days outside of November 5th? Well, it takes away a lot of resources, a lot of time, and a lot of the bigger things that Donald Trump is trying to focus on that now he has to shift focuses on, and now is like, okay, now we have to deal with these charges. Well, the charges? Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is the primary charge here. This is why they're able to call him an insurrectionist over and over again. So as long as these charges are pending, then the media narrative gets to still be that he is pending prosecution for insurrection, even though they're not even charging with insurrection. That really hasn't stopped them. But this allows them to bring that back to the fore. Also, RFK Jr., according to him 48 hours ago, he has already blown over $10 million in legal fees. So this is not just about wasting his time. It's also about bleeding his treasury. They want to try and limit him financially when it comes to advertising and travel and everything else. So it's, I don't think anyone at this point that's like a fair, impartial observer, given the fact that he told his people to go home, be peaceful, blah blah blah, that they are still buying the narrative that he actually incited an insurrection. However, the blue-pilled people that are all in for Kamala, they love that narrative. So this is meat to their base. It's red meat to their base, and it's bleeding Trump.
Well, and the money's significant, right? I mean, the war chest that Biden had was already dwarfed in comparison to Trump's, and now you add that with Kamala's fundraising she's had, and now they're draining him. He's having to put out all these fires constantly.
Right.
I think that's a huge ordeal. You watch the Olympics on Peacock, it was constantly Kamala after Kamala after Kamala commercial. You saw nothing from him because he doesn't have the resources to do it.
Right, and then $10 million is what RFK's had to deal with in legal fees. Imagine the legal fees for Trump.
Not
it's
only
got to
that,
be
his
50,
team.
70. It's got to be huge.
Right.
And the chilling effect with the lawyers that are also being charged here. The lawyers in some of these indictments are literally being prosecuted themselves, which is setting up a chilling effect to the point where if you're a lawyer, like, do I want to represent him? Because I could go to jail too.
Right.
Which is
They
crazy.
prosecuted, I think, all of the attorneys that were responsible for the Georgia filing. I think it was the alternative delegates or whatever. But it's crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely chilling, and they're trying to bleed him. They're trying to scare the hell out of his attorneys. If I was an attorney, I would probably not take up his case, because you are almost certainly going to face charges yourself, no matter what the case is. Like, you become an enemy of the state. I think everybody knows that if you're paying attention.
Yeah, or investigations, or audits, or federal agents literally following you on flights whenever you fly, as well as secondary screenings that you get for, of course, not being in the best kind of behavior according to the establishment.
Can we take a minute just to appreciate how crazy that is? That I just said that, and we all agreed that, like, an attorney defending a former president of the United States knows that they become an enemy of the state for doing so. Like, that is a violation of so many of our rights. It's unbelievable.
We talked about yesterday how Tulsi Gabbard, a currently serving soldier, is on a watch list. She's on a terrorist watch list somehow.
Right.
So what you're saying is not crazy. And this is the thing that I find crazy are people who to this day are still like, that's not happening. No,
Yeah.
those are the crazy people.
Yeah.
The people that are like awake and are like, wow, what is going on? Those are my people.
Yeah.
Those are, yeah.
No, the point I'm making though is like because we do this so often, I think sometimes we'll forget that, 10 years ago, everything we talk about on a daily basis would have been laughably absurd. Would have been like, we don't live in Venezuela, we don't live in
Right.
whatever, North Korea.
Even
but it's
in the
like,
U.S.
this is where we live.
With Clinton, when the Monica Lewinsky stuff, most people were just willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's the president. Of course, like women come into his office and, she made that all up. She's, crazy or whatever people were saying back then. We kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. Right now, if somebody's like, Donald Trump in his office, with the cigar, people would be like, Donald, like we just are
They
on
would
a
believe
different,
everything.
they'd believe
But
everything.
What's really crazy about the 90s is that the real scandal was that in order to make it up to Hillary, he bombed Serbia.
I just saw that today. I
Yeah.
just saw that today for the first time.
Well, this
Well,
is
I've
according
noted because of
to
Scott
one
Horton.
author of one particular book. We could pull up the
No. This
allegation.
is not just one author. This is Scott Horton's work. He told me about this years ago. So this is well known.
I just posted a meme about it yesterday, personally
Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
Some women, we just like flowers. Some of us, we like.
we like war crimes. Yeah,
I mean,
apparently.
war crimes. Like, I can't imagine coming home and like, baby, I brought you this war. I bombed it for you.
Hey, don't kink shame Hillary, okay? What she's into is
Dude,
whatever
her
she
kink
wants
is
to be into.
nuts.
The way she was talking about what happened to Gaddafi just highlights the larger kind of monster that she represents, laughing
That laugh even,
at a
man.
guy
Oh
that
my
was
God.
literally being gutted on national television.
Sodoma.
Yeah. Well, we got to be careful with words here because it's a family-friendly show here.
Gutted from behind.
Let's just say, no, he was shish kebabbed.
He was shish kebab.
And
It's a great. Oh my God.
In a real way. Hey, that's what you do when you go up against the U.S. petrodollar
I mean, it's
and
just so horrific.
question U.S. hegemony. So that
This,
that's
by the
that's what
way,
happened.
the source on that, this is actually in Scott Horton's newest book, which won't be out until this end of this year, which is crazy because I read it like a year and a half ago. But he just keeps adding pages.
Tell him to hurry up.
He's a maniac. It's called Unprovoked. It's how the Ukraine-Russia war started. It's a masterpiece. I read it at 650 pages. It's over 1,000. Anyways, the source on that is a Secret Service agent who I guess wrote a book or told some author about it. But he heard it during the Lewinsky scandal. He actually heard them discussing it. Like this was a well-known thing that was Hillary's demand to basically keep the marriage together.
We have it here.
Wow. Can we have the cliff
we
notes
have
on
it
that?
here. A biography of Hillary Clinton written by Gail Sheehy and published in late 1999 stated that Mrs. Clinton refused to talk to the president for 8 months after the Monica Lewinsky scandal broke. She resumed talking to her husband only when she phoned him and urged him in the strongest terms to begin bombing Serbia. The president began bombing within 24 hours, Alexander Cockburn observed in the LA Times.
I joked
That
about it.
picture is something else.
Yeah, I joked about
Dude,
the
he
whole
liked that
thing,
donk.
but
Billy liked that donk.
He likes them big ladies.
he doesn't like that. He likes the little girls. He just that's what he needs
wow.
to do politically. It is what it is. It's scary.
In
that we're-
private, the little ones. In public, he shows the big girls some love. And Monica had some meat on her bones too. Let's be honest here. She wasn't a frail lady. So.
Supposedly, Monica happened because the White House was shut down and he couldn't travel. He
Oh,
couldn't.
that's hilarious.
He couldn't go
he couldn't
to the
go
island.
to Epstein. Like,
And she was
legit-
only like 19 or
Oh,
something,
God.
right?
Oh yeah, no, she was super young.
She was
Yeah.
right out. Yeah.
She was 21 or 20, but
Early
she was
20s, yeah.
she was an intern with quote the most the most what is this like famous person or the most powerful man in the world is what they were calling him, and so of course she was.
Yeah.
And the news all made it seem like Monica Lewinsky was the horrible person.
I know that
Like
was
this
that was
big seductress. Like
Right.
she came in and
Yeah.
entrapped
This
him.
19, 20-year-old is like to Bill Clinton, like, hey, like,
Yeah.
and meanwhile,
It's absurd.
it was like a stain on her dress and
Well,
a few cigars.
The part The part that
Yeah,
bothers
it
me.
sounds like an
among us?
average Saturday night for Clint. Yeah.
You know?
Thank you. You're right.
And like Linda recording those conversations and like getting the
Oh
dress.
my
Like,
gosh,
what a
what a
wild
snake.
story.
Yeah.
Well,
And it started the internet day and age where it was the Drudge Report that kind of broke the story when the media was trying to keep a lid on it. So if it wasn't for Drudge, the story would have never been as big as it is.
It's
Sorry,
the
Clint, go ahead.
Past years Hunter Biden laptop story. Only
Yeah.
now it's just escalated.
Well, what happened to Drudge Report, man? They must have got bought out by the DNC. Like they don't put out any breaking news anymore.
Yeah, something weird happened with Drudge.
He sold
Something
it, right?
very strange happened where the
guess.
shift kind of changed very dramatically.
Yeah.
In a
If you-
very
if
weird
you go
way.
to them, like anytime now, it's all like Democrat hit pieces against Republicans. It's like a
I wonder what
total
their
inversion
price
of
was.
what it was.
Yeah.
I
No,
wonder
I
what
think
the
he
price
sold
was
it.
on
I'm
that.
pretty sure. There's like a new podcast that's been out about Matt Drudge that was a really good listen, but I think they talked about him. He's disappeared. Like
Okay.
nobody's seen Matt Drudge or interviewed him in years. Like he is.
But
I mean,
completely
everybody
dipped
has a
out.
price, right, Luke?
Who are you referring to?
I'm just asking if you have a price.
I think you
love to
throw
get paid to disappear.
25 mil, 25 mil at Luke and I, and we'll go away. Anyways,
That's kind of cheap, I think,
don't-
with the amount of damage
I-
you guys do to the
Clint's
the
speaking
parties.
for himself. Or,
Yeah. I'm going to say that's kind of cheap.
well,
I think
I don't think they're going to offer it, but it would be funny if they did. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to offer it. But anyways, the bigger point that I wanted to make is, yes, I agree that the shaming of Monica was totally reprehensible. But what I found most fascinating is that it was even a scandal because like JFK and a bunch of other presidents were running through chicks for like
Oh, yeah.
forever. And the media didn't even cover it because they were like, that's just what powerful men do. And then in the 90s, it's this huge scandal. It was
Yeah,
just
they
absurd.
just go to Bohemian Grove. They do mock child sacrifices, bring in the males of the night. I'll say that, as of course the New York Post reported on a lot of very high level adult male stars that were just literally brought into this kind of larger gathering that they were doing. But as Newt Gingrich previously said a couple years ago, Donald Trump isn't a part of the secret societies, and this is what he uses to explain why there has been such a strong reaction against him. And I think it's fair to say he's definitely not a part of the club from everything that I've seen, from the way that he gets treated. The charges that he's being charged with right now are conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction of an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. What does that mean? Again, this is what a lot of people are equating to a larger political witch hunt, all centered around J6, which the Democrats are using in their campaigning. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Kamala administration came to the DOJ, came to Jack Smith and said, look, we're not doing too well. We need this narrative of him being an insurrectionist. We need this to be a little bit more prominent. Let's make sure that everyone's talking about it right now, and everyone is.
I wouldn't have so much of a problem with these charges and this stuff if we did it to both sides. Like, where is Hillary Clinton's charges for the Russian collusion stuff? Why is it only one side? And I think
You know.
Yeah, I do know. And of course, like when you go online and you talk to people and they're like, well, Trump has all these charges. Like, that's exactly it. People don't know that the Supreme Court said, no, this is bogus. Like they just need it to be there.
I can't tell you how many Democrats have responded to my post because I'm like slightly favorable towards Trump over the Democrats, but the Democrats will always respond with like, oh, you're going to vote for a felon? And I'm like, aren't you the criminal justice
Right.
reform people?
Right.
We weren't even supposed to say felon anymore. I used to work in criminal justice reform. And they're like, don't say felon. It like stereotypes people and
These people are
stigmatizes them.
unbelievable.
And now it's just
I'm like,
such a reversal.
If you knew what charges should be brought against all of the people you love and support and plan to vote
Right.
for, you would never pretend that calling someone a felon is a negative.
Right. Like, excuse me, when is Mark Zuckerberg going to be a felon? Let's go ahead
Or
there.
actually, but when are the politicians and bureaucrats who are pushing him to censor all of us?
Yes.
When are
Right,
they going to
absolutely.
be tried? When are they going to
How
be held
about
accountable?
head of the CDC, DHS, all of Mayorkas, all the people that were pressuring not just Zuckerberg, but Jack and I guess Zuckerberg on Instagram too, but every social media platform. That was illegal across the board, and yet apparently Amy Coney Barrett doesn't think so.
We need to
how
have
did
like
that
a
happen?
name
Yeah.
for real felons,
Ridiculous.
like the politicians that we want to see. Like
Super felons.
Yeah,
Right.
don't worry, guys. When Kamala, wins, we'll all be felons. So we'll all be in the felon club, and
mean,
we'll
we-
all be targeted and
we're-
arrested and put in the gulag.
we have friends that are felons, right? I mean, I feel like I'm at home with like felons because if you're a felon now, it's like you're against the state.
I mean, let's be so serious. All of us probably are felons because there's so many felonies that it's almost impossible to avoid committing one just in your day-to-day life.
I committed
as an
a felony on the way
American.
over here.
It's completely arbitrary who actually gets arrested and prosecuted in this country, period. And that's, I guess, if there's any silver lining to what's happening to Trump, it's like, yeah, now you see it. They do this to average people every day. This is not uncommon, the way the system operates. It's just finally going after a powerful person, and you're seeing it on full display.
Yeah, they do it to businesses. They do it to farmers. They do it to entrepreneurs. They do it to the CEO of Telegram, and they'll be doing it to you in a larger way. We got a development with an Amish farm that we're going to be talking about later on today that, again, the federal prosecutors went after very heavily when they were able to, of course, provide things like raw milk.
You got a
to the
license
general
for that
public,
cow?
which is infuriating. As, of course, the legal worries for Donald Trump are only increasing, as we also got the development today that RFK Jr. will still remain on the ballot in the state of Michigan and Wisconsin. It's also possible that he could still be on the ballot for other battleground states, as of course now the legal judicial system is saying despite suspending his campaign, it's still too late to pull him off of the ballot, which means he will still be there represented. And this, of course, will significantly probably hurt Donald Trump, as of course there's a lot of, let's just say, low information voters out there. They'll see his name. I've talked to other RFK supporters, by the way, and they're like, you know, even though he said he's not going to run, I'm still going to write his name in. That's how fervent of some of his supporters are. But in the state of Michigan and Wisconsin, where the plan was, hey, we're going to make sure he's not running there to make sure that it doesn't sway the election towards Harris, that's not going to happen anymore. And that's a pretty big deal as well against Donald Trump.
Yeah, unless, I mean, they try so hard to kick people off ballots most of the time. They throw out signatures, they disappear names, they do all of this rigging to make sure it's just those two candidates on the ballot. And now, strategically, when it benefits them, all of a sudden they're going to make sure he's on the ballot. It's just ridiculous.
No one should be surprised by that whatsoever. But let me defend those people because you described them as low information, and some of them are. But a lot of them are going to be principled people that are like me, who've been writing in Ron Paul almost every election cycle. So I do understand why a lot of them, despite RFK saying, yes, I would prefer you support Donald Trump over me, they're going to say, I don't want to support him. I think that you're the guy. After that speech he gave during the resignation, I said this on Timcast, like, it was all of my doubts about his capacity to lead were totally distinguished or extinguished in that moment. Like, he was so good. Did anybody listen to the full hour speech?
No.
Okay. I highly recommend it to everybody here if you haven't. It was, I think genuinely it was the best speech of my life.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
now
he called Americans fat too. And he's not wrong.
He's not.
Yeah.
But
Hard to
I mean,
argue.
that was just the tip of the iceberg. His unbelievable capacity to break down the entire history and the lead up and the history of the Russia-Ukraine war, and then to go into the deepest end of the health side of things, then to talk about the media apparatus, the judicial system being weaponized, the DNC coming after him, and Trump, the way he tied everything together. It was over an hour. It was a masterpiece, and it was so unifying, so beautiful, so eloquent. Despite his raspy voice, I thought it was just fantastic.
Yeah, we might need to read a transcript.
I can understand him fine. Just be
No,
nice.
I can understand them. It just it's difficult.
Okay.
It's difficult to listen to him for a long period of time, but you know, whatever. He does a good job.
I feel like I've acclimated to it because I've followed him pretty closely for a year. So I'm just like, I
Were
don't
you a
even
fan?
notice.
Were you in his camp before he dropped?
I was on the fence. No, I certainly wasn't in his camp. I'm not in anybody's camp. I'm a libertarian, so I hate everybody. But in terms of politicians like that aren't a libertarian, he's the best I've heard in a long time. I mean, he was like the left's version of Vivek, where it's like he's as close as I'm probably going to get without getting a libertarian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense.
Or
I
Tulsi.
honestly didn't follow him that closely. I know you were there. I think you were there. That Memphis event that we had 2 years ago in the summer at Freedom Fest, that was the RFK Jr. event.
Memphis, I did not go to.
Oh,
Yeah,
where
we
they
were
wouldn't feed us. Do you remember that?
Where there weren't enough seats because I think a lot of people crashed.
Yeah, no, it was a terrible event, and that kind of turned me off to him, honestly, because he wouldn't feed us till like 10
We couldn't
p.m.
hear
we were
him either.
starving.
Yeah.
We couldn't hear him.
We couldn't
he
hear
cut
him.
off the wine, and I've just had a personal vendetta. I'm not going to lie. Like, I hated
But it
that
was
event.
at the
You
Elvis
don't make
Museum.
women hangry. That's the
Seriously,
rule one.
that
Don't
is
do
the
that.
rule.
We needed chairs to sit. We were all on heels,
Yeah.
and we're like, "Excuse me, we'd like a chair." No, but but it was a fun event. It just
Do you think he was responsible for organizing that?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
I don't know.
Also, but it was
Doesn't matter to Hannah.
I was so
She's like,
hungry.
you're dead to me.
I couldn't get a glass of wine. I couldn't get anything to eat. It was a long day. Yeah, it was just.
It was at the Elvis Museum. It was with the cars, like the classic cars.
Graceland?
That's pretty cool.
We had a totally different experience though,
Yeah,
because
you
I enjoyed it so much. And then when we couldn't hear him, I was like, cool.
I left to eat. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I literally left.
Women, am I right, guys?
I was like, I can't do this.
He hadn't announced, so what was he doing it for?
He
It was a
gearing up
special
for it.
invite.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
type
he was,
of event.
It was like a okay.
It was
Like
very
it's coming.
posh.
Testing the waters.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah,
give
yeah.
RFK credit where credit is due. The conversation that he starts around health, critically, absolutely important, and he hits the nail on the head. He's able to address the issue in a way that is actually very prudent, very important for people to realize, because not a lot of people realize the tremendous amount of larger underhanded things that are happening behind the scenes in the food industry that are literally poisoning people and, in my opinion, depopulating them on purpose. And it's not just processed food, it's also the things that were done to our environment, to our
Vaccines.
food, to our water. We can't say that word here on this particular platform. As of course, truly him calling out the larger, and I think this is one of the most important issues. A lot of people bring up the economy. A lot of people bring up immigration. We're not going to have a country left because people are too fat. People have been poisoned to the point of no return, and the next generation is becoming fatter. It's becoming more mentally handicapped. It's becoming physically handicapped. There's not enough people to even be in the military because they're not fit to be in the military. And when we see such a larger agenda be carried out against fellow American people, it is absolutely concerning, since, of course, this is cheered on by the establishment, by the TV, by the corporate media, and it's leading to the demise of America as not just a larger empire, but as a country that could just even exist. Because we're reaching the point where we won't exist because there's too many fats.
Quick, very important point. When he was doing the kind of concession speech / endorsement of Trump, CNN cut away when he started to badmouth the news organizations and Kamala, but Kamala specifically is when they cut it. But Fox News cut away when he started to badmouth Big Pharma. And I was like, yo.
Funny to see.
They both have their different, dividing
Their
lines
litmus
or
test.
sensorial lines, but it's so
His-
transparent.
Yeah, Big
His-
Pharma is a big, supporter.
His
It's like
book
almost
is
half their
fantastic.
advertisements.
Yep.
His book was really fantastic, and he
Tremendous.
had all of the evidence very easy to find. It was all backed up. It was all really good, and I can't recommend his
It was
book.
hundreds of pages of citations. By the way, I got the audiobook in his voice just because I wanted to see. No, I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I was like, wait,
It's an
hold on
800-page
a
book,
minute.
and
I don't
he's
think
just
he
like,
reads the audiobook himself.
No, he doesn't. I listened to it. too.
Someone in the comment section just said, Wally is real. Yes, it is real, and we're living through it along with idiocracy. So I always said, presidential elections matter, not just because of the ability to actually win the race, but for the ability to start the conversations, to push the Overton window, to actually get into issues that we would never get into if it wasn't for these individuals putting themselves on the line and saying, hey, this is what we really need to talk about right now, and we really do need to talk about health. We really do need to talk about processed food. We really do need to talk about the poisons that are everywhere, the endocrine disruptors, the things that are wiping us off of the gene map, and it's very real. Now, Fox, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that he also, given what danger we now know he was in because of what happened to Trump, he risked his life for this,
Yeah.
which was a very outside chance. The Secret Service was withheld. He didn't
That was
stop.
corrupt.
He never stopped going after the establishment in a pretty vicious way. He really risked his life for this. And I think when he said during that concession speech that, I'm 70 years old. No, actually, he said it during the Tucker interview yesterday. He said, if, I'm 70 years old, if I could trade my life to basically keep one of these kids healthy, I would do it. It's worth it. I've lived a great life, blah, blah, blah. I think he's the real deal.
I wish
Particularly
Trump
on that
felt that
topic,
way.
I really do.
I wish Trump felt that way. I wish that he would come out and say that, because I feel like he could be, and I've said this many times, I feel like this is my fantasy. I want a Trump that's like, you know what, I'm almost 80 years old. I've lived my life. I've raised my kids. I've done my businesses. I'm going to be that person that feels that way. If I could save one person from this, if I could save America from what is happening with government,
Right.
I would I want to believe that is who Trump is, and I can't, because
But he did in a way with officially aligning himself with RFK. by officially standing with him and behind him, he officially endorsed everything that he endorsed. And he is changing the conversation, especially when it comes to the medical stuff, the stuff that we can't talk about here on this particular broadcast, that we have seen Donald Trump kind of have a little shift on because of RFK. So I think he has. I think he has in many different ways, but I think he's also entangled in so much legal lawfare. He's also entangled with so many people trying to compromise him, even before he becomes the next president of the United States, potentially. I think he has a lot of things on his plate, so he can't be perfect.
I want to believe that is who Trump is. Like I want this so much, and then I'm a libertarian, and so I'm like,
Well,
I've seen politics before. I'm not new.
Yeah.
I think the both negative and positive of Trump is that he's not super ideological, and it's kind of like if he surrounds himself with good people, he'll listen to them, but also he sometimes has bad judgment of character and has bad people around him. But if somebody like RFK has his ear and is working with him in some ways, then I think there is hope that on that conversation he might actually be listening and take a page from
The Justice League that they're calling him now.
Well, someone in the chat room also said the two better not fly on the same plane. Yes, I
real,
agree.
bro.
Keep them
Yikes.
Separate.
Tulsi, RFK, Trump, and Vivek. I'm sorry, y'all need to be on different planes.
Elon as well.
Elon, yes.
Don't show up at one event. Don't do it, please.
I totally agree, man.
so-
I know
That's the type of world we're living in, which
Yeah.
is
It sounds like
pretty
we're
crazy.
joking.
We've
Not
been living
joking.
in this world since at least the 60s. Guys, we had a sitting U.S. president murdered in broad daylight.
Yeah.
And they told us that there was a magic bullet that went through the air, U-turned, and went back out that way.
No, it basically it ping-ponged inside of his skull. It's a wild story.
Wild.
But here's
that we bought it is the wildest part.
well,
actually,
I
the
wasn't-
wild thing is we didn't, but
Yeah.
people just keep going. I think that's actually the
They
crazy
keep
thing.
repeating the lie.
Right, we keep finding out things our government did, and people are like, "Yep, well, could have seen that coming." And
But they're not doing it now, Hannah. That was then. Now
Right,
they
now
are
everything's
so
fine.
well behaved. They're so good. They love us. They want the best for us. They
Totally.
want our health and our wellness. They just love us.
I think the big difference though is that we did go through about 50 years of relative political minimal violence. Like there was riots periodically and things like that. But in terms of assassinations, the 60s had a handful of really prominent ones. And then it was like 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, yeah, there was an attempt, but like no successful. So I think that's what makes this era seem more in alignment with the 60s actually, in that like it feels like we're in one of those great turnovers.
I'd say those wars that we're in, those perpetual wars we're in,
Yeah.
is really where, for me, it seems like we're definitely something's
like
going
Vietnam again.
I mean, I think, yeah, but we now have the internet. So, like, Afghanistan was 20 years, but most of us weren't paying attention to what was happening in Afghanistan. And since it's not here, it's like, oh, well. But I mean, like, it's just a constant. There's never a time where we're not dropping bombs on somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's been a perennial. But I'm just talking about domestic.
Someone in
bombs.
the chat room just said, "Tell that to Seth Rich." Yeah, good point there. As of course, I think it's fair to say that they're going to try to still attempt to take the life of Donald Trump and other individuals. Tucker Carlson recently made a very kind of similar statement. We're going to be playing that clip, but we're going to have to save it for the next platform that we're going to be on. As of course, we still have the fact that officially Donald Trump has agreed to debate Kamala Harris on ABC News on September 10th. We were talking about this yesterday, specifically asking if Donald Trump should agree to some of the terms here, but he just went on Truth Social and announced, quote, "I have reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats for a debate with Comrade Kamala Harris."
Yo, this is a fire.
Yeah.
This needs to be on Twitter.
Yeah.
We need him to tweet this out. He says, quote, "It will be broadcast live on ABC Fake News." By far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business on Tuesday, September 10th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone, except perhaps crooked Joe Biden. The debate will be stand-up, and candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets.
Woohoo.
We have also been given assurance by ABC that this will be a fair and equitable debate, and that
right.
neither side will be given the questions in advance. No Donna Brazil. Yes. If you remember, Hillary Clinton literally got the questions beforehand during a major presidential debate in 2016. So, yeah.
And then she was hired as a contributor to news stations afterwards. They're like,
We don't care.
Yeah, after being such a disgraceful person, it reads, Harris would not agree to the Fox News debate on September 4th, but that date will be held open in case she changes her mind or flip-flops, as she has done on every single one of her long-held and cherished policy beliefs. A possible third debate, which would go on NBC fake news, has been agreed to by the radical left.
Has not been.
God bless. Has not been agreed to by the radical left. God bless
Two things.
America.
This is going down the history books. I love it.
Yeah.
Like this is what kids are going to study one day. It's amazing.
Trump should go use that September 4th date and like I don't know, bring the Justice League there and just have like a open conversation with RFK. You know, like totally. Let's see
Have
him.
them zoom in, not at the same place. Have them zoom in.
Okay, zoom in, whatever. And then two, please tell me you are live streaming this.
Oh yeah, of course, obviously.
okay,
Yeah. We're obviously going to be live on September 10th, watching everything as it kind of proceeds here. As
You need to get Roger Stone back here. Let's go. This is going to be amazing.
I'll text him right now. You guys take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm torn on this because I feel like he probably could have negotiated better terms. You should have at least gotten one other. Like, I
It's going to
really
be
believe.
so great, Clint. Come on. Can you imagine Kamala Harris at a debate? Like,
No, I know, but the agreement was 3.
Right.
That was what the agreement was with Joe. So basically,
she's gonna
Kamala
have to-
played him because she knows that he wants her to speak because that's bad for her. But he has now basically been negotiated into the corner. Like, this is the art of the deal guy, right?
Right.
And he has now been negotiated in the corner of one friendly debate on ABC and no others. That is
Yep.
He
not
knows
good
what-
negotiating.
And
He
he's
knows
going
he's
into
got her.
enemy territory. He's not going into
what
a
I'm saying.
territory that is favorable towards him.
And by
We're
the
going
way-
towards a very biased organization that has lied about him throughout the last 8 years and has called him all sorts of really horrible names and has done a lot of really unfair things to him. And he's going to be moderated by them.
And by the way, CNN, which has been trying to kind of middle of the road themselves, like take them back from the fringe hard left.
They're trying not to go bankrupt.
Yeah, well, that too. But Tapper and the other broad, they I don't know her name. They moderated that debate against Biden, and they did. I think it was a layup because they had already been told that like Joe's gonna go. So just
They set him up in that debate.
Yeah. So
100%.
they're like be totally equitable, be totally fair. So Trump thinks he's going to get the same treatment on ABC, and it's going to be a landslide the other direction
Yeah,
in
I think
terms
so
of
too.
the questions, the moderation, cutting the mics. Different camera angles, trying to make him look bad. I think they're going to do all of the dirtiest tricks imaginable. We'll
set up
see
the
if I'm
heat
wrong. I don't know.
lamp. Set up a heat
Yeah.
lamp so he sweats on air, and of
Exactly,
course,
I think Trump thought he did well in the last debate, and honestly, in watching it, he didn't do well. Biden was just comatose, and so I think he maybe has gotten a little bit arrogant and expects
I
to
agree.
perform better than I think he actually will. And I think he's counting on Kamala being stupid. I don't know that I think Kamala's especially smart, but she's going to be prepped and ready
Yeah.
with
Y'all
her team.
forget.
for that sort of thing.
I thought Trump actually did well, but he should have been more strategic, and he should have had this debate later, not so early. And because he had it early, that's when they decided to, of course, kick him out. That was the
That's-
moment.
that's why
we
he's
were
running
here.
against Kamala.
We were here at Roger Stone during that presidential debate, and we said that there's no way that they could run. And I still was saying maybe they could run him, maybe he'll be a zombie. But then after that, I was like, man, there's no way it can't happen. So.
Y'all forget that we have the Trump card, which is Tulsi Gabbard. Guys, come on. I can't be the only one that's like excited for Tulsi to like prep Donald Trump against Kamala. Like,
I mean, but anybody could have prepped that. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, like Tulsi knows her weak spot. Like Tulsi was there. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in the prep that Tulsi's going to give him.
I think
she needs-
people think that the content of what you're saying is the most important thing when actually in debates it's delivery.
Totally.
And
Absolutely, but-
Tulsi delivered it in such a calm kind of like just a demolition style.
Hopefully-
That's not what Trump does.
I also
Hopefully
think it
she's
comes across
practicing.
differently from
Right.
Tulsi to Kamala, like a woman to a woman, a minority to a minority.
Exactly.
Being able to it's just a different,
different
delivery.
energy.
Yeah.
But this is where she
Donald
needs to
Trump
prep
is
him.
Donald Trump is hit or miss. He's not always perfect during these debates.
No.
In 2020, he didn't do that well against Biden.
He
Let's just
didn't.
be
He
honest.
didn't do great against Hillary in the first debate too.
Yeah.
Way
So
back in the day.
we could have a moment where they could rifle him. They could do some underhanded things. There
Yeah.
could be some larger psychological kind of psyops being played behind the scenes that could, of course, warp his mind. Now he has to think about the charges. He's going to be sentenced in 4 days after this presidential debate.
Yep.
He's going to have to be in New York City where a judge will be deciding his future if he's going to be in jail, on house arrest, or fined, or remanded, or who knows what's going to happen.
And mind you, because it's only one debate, if he just ties her, which he has done in other debates before, if he doesn't just mop her, he's only got one go at this.
Right.
Like, it's everything. The pressure is going to be extraordinary. She just has to not get massacred. He has to crush.
Yeah.
That's a totally different game that we're playing now.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's in ABC's hands, which I absolutely don't trust. This is what Donald Trump had to say about this. He just made a statement about it.
President Trump, would you want the microphones muted in the debate whenever you're not speaking?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. And I think it should be the same. We agreed to the same rules. Same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. But they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
Yeah, well, there should have been a Fox News debate. Let's just be honest.
yeah,
if we were fair, I'm going to ask the chat room right now: who do you think is going to win the next upcoming presidential debate, Kamala or Trump? I'm going to leave a poll up right now.
For the record, even with it being slanted and everything else, I think he will win. But I'm just saying, if he has an off night, that is horrible. I mean, it is basically over for him because they'll package it up and she'll be like, look, I already won the first debate. Of course, there's not going to be another one. The media will treat her like a darling. They will package every highlight. I mean, that's why she hasn't agreed to another one, because if she does really well, they're not going to do another
And
debate.
she's not going to do the one on the 4th because, of course, that's too
Fox
far
News.
away from also Fox News, but also far away from his being sentenced.
Yeah.
So
All I wanted was at least 2, and I didn't get that. And just for entertainment value, I'd also like it because I think they're freaking hilarious.
Is there still a possibility to get 2 though?
No, I don't think so. I
no,
mean,
she doesn't have to.
Once this has been agreed to, because now the whole argument of like, oh, she's running, she's scared. I'm going to debate him. Now that's all she has to say, and he agreed to it, and that's all she has to say.
But what about like the information that's actually coming out that her administration, her and Biden, legitimately like tried to censor, tried to put all this stuff? Like, you don't think that that's going to affect her? You don't think we're going to push forward on like
who's gonna hold her feet to the fire on those issues?
There's
true.
one thing. Rand Paul's been pushing this bill for like a year plus to try to actually put some teeth into the First Amendment and give some sort of recourse to go after
what
bureaucrats
is the
and
recourse?
politicians. The legislation, it actually would enact a statute that would basically allow them to be charged. And
thank you.
But guess who's not helping? Most Republicans and
Of
virtually
course.
all Democrats.
I
So-
hadn't even heard of this. So
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you on Twitter, but yeah, he's been pushing this for a while. And he's been saying like we need to actually have some teeth, we need to have some recourse to go after
How
the
is it
people
even-
in government that did this versus constantly going after the companies and trying to come in
charge
and
them with
moderate their-
treason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
well, I mean-
they won't, and so I
But
mean,
but to have a lesser charge, I can't tell you how many times I brought this up on Liberty Lockdown over the 2020-21 era. When I first started my show, I was like, why are we not prosecuting these people for violating the Constitution?
Right.
The Constitution is getting obliterated. And then I'm having Judge Napolitano on the show, and he's explaining to me like, well, there's actually no charges to be brought unless it's like
Treason.
actually treason. Unless it's actually treason.
I said
it's so
treason.
rare.
Let's go with
I mean, you've
treason.
got to get a federal prosecutor to do that, and they don't.
Yeah,
They
but
never use that.
It's just fascinating to me that like the founders wouldn't. I know the reason that they didn't. I've had it explained to me by Judge Knapp. He said, well, if you prosecute people for violating the Constitution, well then the one half of the political aisle will always try and bring charges against the other half, and this is the reason that they didn't want to have it in there. And it's like, okay, but yeah, if you don't have charges, then what stops them from violating the Constitution over and over again? And the answer is nothing, as we found out over the past 4 years.
Absolutely. Steph, we have some super chats. Can you read them?
Not a Joke says RFK's speech had me shook. I feel like if we make a few small changes as a country, we can bring down healthcare costs to pennies. The autism statistics make you want to fight harder for this country.
Yeah, those are staggering statistics that are absolutely terrifying, as of course that number
Careful,
keeps
that's
going
a very dangerous topic.
up and up and up, and there's nothing making sure it
Did you
goes
not know
down.
it?
So, but it's all right. Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
Keep
I
going.
I'm not reading it, so I didn't
yeah.
know where it goes. with it.
Sorry, guys. I didn't know that was a thing.
It's okay.
Little Drinky Poo says, love you, Steph. Keep up the great work.
Aww. I like that.
Ricky Ace One says, Luke, I challenge you to delete Facebook, stating that you use it to reach the lost plebes plebes, is only a poor excuse to continue your addiction. If everyone deletes it, we win.
I'm pretty confident Luke's not
It
addicted.
really is that simple.
Pretty sure Luke
I
isn't
gave-
on Facebook all day, every day.
I gave Steph access to the Facebook. I was like, let's see if we could do something here. And I don't know if you want to report what you experienced.
Exactly what your shirt says.
Yes. No, it's absolutely atrocious.
They think we're from a different country and they won't let us prove that we're not.
It is so
literally,
hard.
literally.
I've done this process.
It's absolutely insane with the stuff we have to deal with. We had a page that had 800,000 followers back in the day when you could still reach people. Facebook just took it away and gave it to a big corporation. They're like, oh, we'll just give it to a TV company because it's sort of similar to what you guys are portraying. And I'm like, what? And we reached millions and millions of people on Facebook. It was one of our kind of main avenues that we reached people. Now we get like 1 or 2 comments on our page. Like, that's it.
Dude,
That's everybody
yeah.
on Facebook too.
Yeah,
It's been
it's crazy.
complete wipeout of political content.
You
on
couldn't
there.
you couldn't sue for that? I mean, it seems like you would.
I thought about it.
They gave your account name to somebody else?
Yeah, they gave the whole account, all the followers, the whole account, the whole
seems
page.
super
800,000 people. We were reaching, I think it was like 50 million people a month because
So
of
what
how
I'm
much we were
hearing is
posting
if
there.
somebody out there is an attorney that would like to take this
Dude,
case
for
on
real.
contingency, we may have a case. Just saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook drama as well that we'll be getting into in just a little bit. But I think there's no addiction here, Ricky Ace. And we got to fight where the fight's at. We got to be at the battleground. That's why we're here on YouTube, obeying their kind of draconian language or rules that are absolutely absurd. But then we, of course, bring you over to another free speech platform in just a little bit. And then we go kind of absolutely huevos to the walls as much as we can to the fullest extent. And we're able to, of course, have actual kind of legitimate conversations. But we got to fight the battle everywhere we can. We can't just give up and just stop.
I deleted my Facebook in 2014, and I literally never missed it for a single minute. It is like such a time suck, and there was like no value. The only thing that I used it for, and this is a totally true story, and I shouldn't be saying it, but I say things
here
that I
we
shouldn't be saying. Anyways, so when I first got on it, like none of my family was on there because I was one of the early adopters. So it was just like me and my college buddies. We would just have photos of us totally hammered, and then we would reply to each other, just calling each other racial slurs and homophobic slurs and all sorts of stuff. And we would just post this publicly, and we would leave it up, and we wouldn't even think about it. And there was just thousands of pictures of me like totally hammered. I'm so glad I deleted it when I did. I hope that
The internet, it's never
Unfortunately, if
deleted.
you're watching right now, I have a gambit for you. I have something that you should get into. The internet never forgets, Clint.
Dude,
so just
I
a
deleted
heads
it
up.
10 years ago. Please, God, be gone.
I deleted mine when I left music for politics because I was like, I need all of this to go away. Like this whole background.
Yeah, what was your experience on Facebook, Hannah? Because you've been
Well, I
online
mean-
for quite a while. There's been so much censorship. It's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I never had a platform as large as yours, but I made my name on Facebook. That was where I first had a following. I used to make a good bit of money off of it, got tons of views, was growing rapidly. And I would say about 2 years ago, they just shut it all down. Not only like Facebook, can you not get your content to the people who follow you there, but also links. Like I used to get tons of traffic to my website and to YouTube videos and to all kinds of other content I was making from Facebook, and had a very engaged and dedicated audience. I still have like, I think around 50,000 followers on my Facebook page. And it's pretty much exactly what you described, where it's hard to get views, very little things take off. It's very controlled. I think second to TikTok, Meta has been the most censorious platform that I've existed on.
It's the worst. We opened up a TikTok stuff. What happened to our TikTok?
0 views, shut down. They would delete anything that was scheduled. It was supposed to post, just gone, deleted, not there. I thought I was going crazy.
And then they deleted our channel with 0 views.
Yeah.
So like we started uploading our shorts because I recently started to do dedicated shorts. Every day I do original shorts, not just clips of what we're doing here. And they're taking off on a lot of the social media platforms. But TikTok, 0 views. And then I think, what was it, the 5th video we posted? They took everything down?
It was from the very beginning, like the 3rd video.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've not been deleted from TikTok. I've always kept my channel, but I'll like do really well and get millions of views, and then I'll get like 1,000 views, and then it will spike here and there. But I saw this back end thing on TikTok recently where you could see all the things they're mad at you about. And I was
Yeah.
scrolling through, and the things I was in trouble for were not even my content. It was like me like leaving clown face emojis on other people's content. Like they said I was bullying I was like, I guess maybe I was, but yeah, I was
What
in
kind
trouble.
of aggressive emojis were you using?
Just the clown face, you know?
Okay,
I
got
like the
it.
clown
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah.
It's a nice mic drop.
I got removed from TikTok when I was running for office, actually. So it was fun times. I mentioned a platform that I released some videos on.
Remember this.
And so
Can't
they
say that name
can't
on the
say
platform
that name
here either.
anywhere. And I said, check it out. And yeah, that was.
done.
But before that, I brought up a story about a plant that I'm very fond of that is legal in California, and a government. The government of California spends hundreds of millions of dollars to get this plant, to advertise this plant for some reason, or to like help companies. And so I made a story about that, and they had already like dinged me for talking about that because they were like, it's illegal. No, not in California. I mean,
What's
not
crazy
really.
though with the other company that you cannot mention is like literally today on TikTok, I saw a stripper talking about how much money she made in a week in Miami stripping. I'm like, so that's fine, but you can't mention you're on this other. It's completely randomly applied.
Especially when, like in my case, I was running for office. Like this is not like I'm not selling.
Right, you weren't doing anything
Right, it's
inappropriate.
just a platform, and I'm like, videos are, but they also, they allow you to.
We'll
to
be
do
playing all
sorts-
those videos on the next platform. Do you have one you want to show? Send it to me because they're pretty
Sure.
funny.
Do you want the main one, or do you want?
Send me the spiciest one. We'll play it in
don't know what the
about
spiciest
in
one
about
is.
10 minutes. The one with you on the bed with
okay.
the phone.
Okay,
let's-
Luke knows all of them. Luke has watched them probably.
You keep showing them to me. He's like, look at this, Luke. Look, check this out, Luke. And I'm like, fine.
Liar.
I'll
I've
guess.
never-
Luke asked for them over and
I don't know
over
what you're
and
talking
over.
about.
By the way, I just want to take a quick shout out to every smoke show who's 20 to 25 that doesn't do either stripping or OnlyFans. Like it is, I can't even imagine. I'm
I'm sorry, you shouldn't have said that word.
What?
We've all messed
it's
up
a no-no
today.
word. It's a no-no
It's a
word.
no-no word.
The business,
We
the
were walking
enterprise.
on eggshells.
I know.
Which word?
The
company
name.
The company
The
name.
company platform name.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, the YouTube algorithm, just so people know, literally transcribes everything we're
keywords.
saying. And if there's a keyword that they don't like we say this or we say that business name, it automatically deranks us and
dude,
shows
I
us
had
to less
no
people.
idea that was
which
off
is
limits.
which is
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
Anyways, the point I was trying to get to is that
a minefield.
from the time I was 16 until the time I was like 22, I was working these dead end, terrible jobs, getting paid nothing. I can't imagine having that as my option, or not keeping in mind I don't have this option because I'm not a smoke show 20 to 25-year-old girl. But if I had the option of like, oh, I could make $500 an hour as a stripper in Miami, or I can make $7 an hour working at Wendy's. It's a crazy conundrum to put these girls in. And for any woman that actually does not go that route, that has that option, more power to
I don't
you.
know. I didn't have that when I was 20 to 25, but you had like Hooters and some of these. My dad would have pulled me out of there by my hair. Like,
Well, yeah.
I don't understand how that's an option for
Well,
so many.
Well, because they don't
That's
have fathers.
exactly. Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
that is like the number one thing is that they don't have
Well,
dads.
and I
so.
don't like attacking women for, men abandoning them, but I am just saying, like, to me, it is crazy that would ever be on the table, even if it's just other male relatives. Like,
The men are the ones that should be attacked for that.
So as a mother who did that for a political thing, and it was kind of funny, haha, I can say that for the women that are thinking of doing those type of things, just think if you ever want to have children. It was really, really, really tough, even though my children knew exactly what was on there and that it was not that type of content. It was very, very, very difficult.
And we hear
Yeah.
about the anomalies of people making a lot of money, but on average, the average woman doesn't make that much
No.
money on it.
Right.
And there's a lot of other kind of social
I was
consequences
in the
for it as well. So,
Top 3% for a little bit, and I didn't make that kind of money.
And I
So-
think the news headlines with
It's the
all the money
1%.
that they're making, it's a form of a psyop
Right,
in
yeah.
order to try to kind of degenerate our society that much
It's
further.
working.
And it is. And a lot of people are kind of falling for that trap,
It's so
being like,
true.
this is the easy way, when in reality, it's really not.
It's
As
like,
of course,
also,
there's
what's your
consequences for those
long-term
actions.
plan? Like,
Yeah.
what's your retirement? What are you doing once you're like
Well,
45, 50 for
If
work?
you're a top 1% earner though, like I am not going to knock you. If you're making $500,000 or $1 million a year, just taking your clothes
a
off
year,
on,
they make that like a month.
well, some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm
a
saying
very
even
small
if you're
percentage.
making I know it's 1%, less than 1%.
Less.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if you are those people, I totally get it. And for the record, if you manage your money right, you do
Yeah.
that for 5 years, you could retire.
Oh, yeah.
But all the other broads that are doing it, that are making like 10 grand a year, you are ruining your life for nothing.
For nothing.
It's crazy.
But that's the thing. You don't know if you're going to be like some girls, obviously they have a following outside of that and they can make it grow. But
Sure.
I mean, to be on there and to sell yourself. And again, you don't know what the future is going to bring. You don't know where, like if you're 20 to 25, you don't have kids, you don't like, who knows where your life's going to be? Who knows who you're going to be 10 years, 15 years in the future? And you've just ruined all of that. Hopefully you've made a boatload of money and it doesn't matter. Right. But if you made terrible choices and then you got to go get a job or, just
But I think
bad.
it's like Luke said, it is kind of like a psych op, and they are making women think like, here are the pathways available to you to be successful, to have a business, to have independence, to have autonomy. And instead, what we really need to be doing is teaching women and boys, but women especially, I think, don't get as much input in this way. Like, here are like above book, legit ways you can actually go into business for yourself and make good money and be successful. And I feel like that's not getting elevated while the media is constantly pushing.
Right. And shout out to all those young ladies who choose not to go on that platform and do those things and actually go get those jobs that we were kind of saying like.
And what are you guys doing? Giving them all of your money. What are you thinking? Stop being beta.
It's the oldest profession, guys. I mean, there's a reason why in every society across all of humanity, that profession has been there. While there's men willing to pay for it and women in some cases, there's going to be, it's a market. It's the free market. It is exactly what happens. Supply and demand. There you go.
That, as you were saying, that sometimes women don't get enough advice on entrepreneurial path. I will say, just to address the male side, the epidemic that does not get talked about is that for every OnlyFans girl that's getting dragged on the internet for doing what she's doing, there are thousands of dudes that are spending every penny on these girls, and those guys are in despair. Like, they are in such a dark place. Not all of them, but a big percentage of them are just like lifeless husks that the world, that civilization has completely forgot about. It breaks my heart. No one gives a shit about these guys.
Well, the loneliness epidemic is real. And I think psychologically, a lot of the algorithms are playing up to these larger kind of destructive behaviors that have them not only waste away their money, but their future and their potential as males. So there's also a demoralization effort happening in almost every form of media that, of course, makes guys, especially white guys, look like weak, pathetic, fat, stupid idiots. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's an accident that, of course, you don't have any kind of real portrayals of fathers that are actually good, that are actually legitimate, that are actually responsible, that are actually doing the right things and standing up for their neighborhoods and their communities, and they keep people in their lives safe from the dangers outside of them. And I think it's a two-part problem, because the men are responsible, but also the women are as well, since they incentivize a lot of this kind of beta soy boy-like behavior that spurs on more Democratic voters as well.
But also, I mean, can you blame them? Like, if you can just, make money easily.
Yes, I can.
You can blame the women for this? I mean, it's
All right,
not
that's
their fault.
it. I'm opening it up right now. $9.99. Let's go.
No, Steph.
Also, I just found
we lost.
You guys are talking about it. It's so enticing. I can't.
Steph, just think of all the money you could make.
No.
I thought of a new business idea, though, Luke, and I need another webcam underneath this table because I have been petting this dog.
Underneath this table?
Okay, I thought that was going something very different.
We actually talked about that.
I was like, we could have an OnlyFans right now.
No, I've been petting the dog with my feet. Now, this is the second episode that I've been doing with, just Atlas is sitting here. And
Dude, you could get paid just for that.
Every time you say that word that we're not supposed to say, the viewership drops on YouTube, by the way.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
That too. I'm looking at the viewership. Literally.
Yes, you cannot say that.
I'm looking at the viewership.
But anyways, let's bring this back up.
As soon as you mentioned it.
Let's bring this back up. Luke, I am offering every time that I come on this show, we'll just stream under the table.
Man.
Oh, goodness gracious.
We will get a lot more viewers.
We will, absolutely.
I don't know how I feel about that. We actually, for full transparency's sake, we did think about setting up a camera, but that's only because we literally have a pair of balls on one of the chairs, and we were going to do the ball camera shot.
I think I like my idea more. I think my idea pays a little more. Than
your idea will pay us.
Yeah, absolutely. No, excuse me. It's my feet.
Viable stream.
No, I know.
This is my income off of your backs. Thank you very much.
I don't know how I feel about that. Dirty foot money.
You cannot have an entrepreneur sitting here and not have me constantly thinking about ways we can make money.
We could have Martha Foot stream. It could be your own separate channel. You could.
I will blow y'all out of the water within 6 months.
We could try it. We could try it.
It's so sad that it's true.
I know. Seriously, it'll pay for my pedicures for sure.
I expect a percentage.
It'll be Clint's feet, really.
I expect a percentage. If you're going to have our audio on it, we have to have a percentage too.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's go.
Yeah.
I think
that's fair.
Okay, but we need the audience to tell us, because some audience members are into feet. So is there an appetite for that?
There is. I get weird DMs about this all the time. I swear. It's like the number one weird DM I get.
I know. They want
that was it.
Josie
Why?
gets it constantly.
Oh my gosh. I've had people offer to buy my shoes. And I'm like,
My husband's like, can we send them my feet? Would they know the difference?
Yes, they will. But
Yeah, I think so.
It's odd because they offer to buy your shoes, but they want them worn.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
Because they
can
want to
s-
smell your foot.
Yeah, I can sell you my old shoes and use that money to buy new shoes? What?
You can.
Mind blown.
But just mind you that every time you feed
We
into
actually,
that
we,
addiction,
we actually have a sneak peek at Martha's feet. And I want to leave it to the audience. Would you guys pay to have this foot pic?
Okay,
How
wait,
much would
wait.
you guys pay
I'm
for
about to put
this
up-
is
Give
this
us a
is
better
Martha's
angle.
feet. This is Martha's feet right
Martha
here.
the Hobbit.
I want to see those toenails.
Okay, actually, I filmed a little while ago under the table,
You just happen to have
and
some
I'm gonna go. Yeah, well, I do. But
Don't
I'm-
show it for free.
No, I'm gonna put it up later so people can tell us
Okay,
yes or
okay,
no.
okay, okay.
I'll show some of it, and you can tell us if this is compelling enough.
Okay, I joked. That wasn't really Martha's feet. These are right here. This is it right here.
That's Clint's feet, and that's where you can find Clint's hair.
That does happen when you're a male and you start balding. Hair starts showing up everywhere else. So,
No, I love you,
so
Clint.
there's that.
I have hair in most other places. I don't think it has anything to do with the hair on my head, though.
Steph shooting shots.
I
But
don't
that
know.
was
Anyway.
Sorry, I
She
don't know.
doesn't say much, but when she does,
When she does,
I
it's
just like,
vicious.
I like having a good time.
yeah. I
right.
like how this show is like all these women for the last 2 days, and this is great. I'm sorry, guys.
I don't know how I feel about this, but
I love it.
we are going to be now officially transitioning over towards a free speech platform that we are currently on the front page of. This platform right here is where the conversation just gets more wild, if you can imagine that, more crazy, more free. Here on this particular platform where we, of course, have the premium billing. We're still looking for a caller. We got some old members that want to call in, but they want to make sure that if you are a new member, if you haven't called in yet, this is your time. You could call in right now just by signing up to lukeunfiltered.com and then joining the Telegram channel. So if you want to call in, sign up and then go to the Telegram group and let me know you want to call in and we will be going to you. Before moving over, Hannah, where can people find out more information about you?
They can head to Hannah Cox on YouTube. That's probably the best place to connect. Hannah D. Cox on pretty much every other platform.
Awesome. Martha?
Well, you can find me at Bueno for Miami on X, and soon to be on some other platform with potentially maybe the new business venture.
There you go. Liberty Lockdown new show dropping tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. And a quick reminder that the Real Rife machine that I am raffling off to my supporters will, like, the deadline is a week from now. There's only 250 supporters, so you have a 1 in 250 chance of getting a $2,500 machine. Those are some good odds. It's $5 a month. Subscribe at Liberty Lock Pod on X, and you will be in the you'll be entered to win.
I can't get Clint's feet out of my head. This is Steph. We are changed.
I have beautiful feet, by the way.
Do you really?
I do.
Very
I'm
hairy.
okay. The TMI. I don't
just-
want to know.
I'm not gonna show you. I'm just letting you know, bro.
He's saving that for
I
his,
got some
for his members.
tantalizing dogs over here.
I don't want to know. Again,
Sure you do, Luke.
conversation continues in a total, honest, and free way. We are on the front page because we really do work hard on this particular platform. If you appreciate it, subscribe, click the notification button, and we are going to be returning not tomorrow, but Sunday with a very special guest coming in studio. So tune in this Sunday, and the conversation continues for the live podcast episode there.